Hello everyone and welcome back. It's been a minute. I'll explain later. Lots been going on in the world. I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it or not. And then I saw that Shoe on Head dropped a video that seems to summarize a lot of events. So I figured we'd use that as a medium as I share my thoughts as we check out her perspective. Feel free to hit me in the comments as we go. Let me know what you think. Subscribe. It's official.
Hello friends, my name is Shoe on Head and welcome to my new series, the Hellworld Report. Some of you may remember my old series that was just called Hellworld. If you do, you can qualify for a veterans discount. Congratulations! And if you remember the Gamergate days, well, please come collect your retirement.
Damn.
But yeah, if you have not seen my old series, go check it out. I will put the link to the playlist down below. I think it's a really interesting time capsule into the years 2020 and 2021, like how crazy it was back then, and then in retrospect,
as a consensus, how many people were actually on YouTube back then? Were y'all? To be honest, 10 years ago, no, I really wasn't on YouTube. I was overseas a lot, but a little bit of an explanation, I guess. Maybe that was before the big pop. I feel like that's around the time it started to get really popular. I don't know.
Comparing it to how crazy it is now. But this is a shorter, more condensed version of that series. Think of it as a Temu, Jon Stewart, or Stephen Colbert before they morphed into the same flavor of shitlib. You see, I'm better than those late night Jimmies because I don't get my news from mainstream sources like some kind of hack. No. I get them from far more reputable places like Instagram Reels and Femboy Groiper69 on Twitter. From furry ballrooms and the Epstein files to OnlyFans green cards and kidnapping foreign leaders, from government-funded purple-haired girlfriends to a potential civil war, we have a very packed show for you today. It has been a crazy year.
Is the Civil War line kind of burnt out on anybody? I feel like we've been saying that for like I don't know.
It is only January. As I am filming this, we are currently having a huge winter storm.
This morning, snow, ice, and frigid temperatures sweeping across the nation. 20 states under a state of emergency.
Ah yes, perfect weather to make some poor immigrant
Snow in the
deliver
South.
chicken tendies. It's so cold that Michigan and Minnesota received reports about exploding trees. Leftists said no more ice, and God said... Anyway, in news...
Yo, nature's done with it.
That should have stayed in 2016. Apparently, there is a new term women have coined called man-keeping. Man-keeping is why women are done with dating. Researchers at Stanford have finally given a name to something many women have been dealing with for years. It's called man-keeping, and it's helping explain why so many women are stepping away from dating altogether.
It explains why so many people are stepping away from what institutions come out with, too.
Man-keeping describes the emotional labor women end up doing in heterosexual relationships. It goes beyond remembering birthdays or coordinating social plans. It means being your partner's one-man support system, managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hand through feelings he won't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated.
This sounds like a whole lot of the, please, I just want men to express how they feel, but not to me. Not to me. It's so redundant. It comes to a certain point where you really just see it for the moral posturing that it is. It sounds good, it looks good, it feels good to say that you're an advocate for such things until it's time to be the thing you're an advocate for. And I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing here. This idea of partners, one-man support system. I mean, I would argue relationships are dual support systems. You're kind of there for each other. You're just there for each other in different ways. Obviously, it's more so if you believe in gender roles and traditional family structure. Yeah, I feel like I'm just burnt out on this.
I hate this therapy speak people talk with nowadays. Emotional labor? You mean being there for your partner?
Yeah.
This is why so many people are just gonna start dating ChatGPT. People thought men were gonna be the ones dating AI. No. They're gonna be the ones with these sex robots. Women are the ones who want the daily affirmation machines.
Until they can get the sex robot.
When you talk about all the drama at work. Tell me more about that bitch Veronica. Man-spreading, man-splaining, man-interrupting, man-keeping, manscaping. All right. Let's start with some good news. The median age of home buyers is now 59. But that's not all. America's seniors will now see a new $6,000 bonus exemption as part of the Working Families Tax Cut. That's $93 billion in tax cuts for seniors all over the country. And by Working Families Tax Cut, they mean you, the working family. Giving another billion-dollar wealth transfer to the most oppressed class. Boomers. Why are we giving these geriatric f***s another tax break? Maybe they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Maybe they should stop buying so much avocado toast. God forbid we help young families raise the next generation of Americans. No, that would be communism. Young people are poor as f*** nowadays. What are they supposed to do?
Piper Raquel, 18, claims she made $2.9 million in a single day after launching OnlyFans.
No more rights. No more women's rights. I am ready for the Islamic Revolution. Mayor Memdani, please press the Islamification button. I know the go-to joke is always, haha, women, am I right? But I think the real question here is, should men be allowed to have credit cards? This woman didn't magically create millions of dollars with her mind out of thin air. No. Millions of men made this woman a millionaire overnight. Where's the accountability for that?
I mean, it's the same accountability on both sides, I would argue. If you see a supply or demand, I think everyone's at fault. Impulse buying. Who is the leading consumer? Google that. See what happens.
I'm out here policing the whores. We need some men to be out there policing the simps.
I feel like that's happening, though. And just be real, who's policing the whores? I feel like women often have a very hard time being direct or being disagreeable with one another, whereas men have a lot of pockets in the online space that are very critical of each other. So it's hard to say what it is. I don't know. Maybe you guys tell me what you think. I often have a belief that men's spaces are often far more critical and disagreeable because we don't fear confrontation, or we're not as concerned with the idea of being liked typically. And that leads to a little more confrontation. I feel like maybe honesty happens more because of it in a way that it can be effective or that it'll reach somebody.
We have a simp epidemic. Simps are out of control.
For sure, though.
Not all of them, though.
For sure.
Mine are cool. They can stay. Also, isn't this like the third OnlyFans 18th birthday announcement?
There's so many so far.
And the woman turns into a millionaire overnight?
Yeah.
Someone a little sus about that. But don't worry, thanks to AI, we are entering a new age of goonerism.
Oh, shit. The hackers are getting better. The scammers. Damn. Yeah, the scammers are getting real good.
Honestly, what's the big deal? Men are already talking to the guys in India who run the accounts of OnlyFans models. Is this really any different? The internet is slowly but surely just becoming Indian men scamming other Indian men. But don't worry, not every internet waifu is a man using AI. In fact, if you live in the UK, you may get a state-funded, far-right, purple-haired waifu. Introducing Pathways, a point-and-click video game created by the UK government to help prevent online radicalization.
I saw a little bit of this. Tell me what's more out of touch than thinking that the way you should develop a video game is by making a PowerPoint slide and thinking people want to consume it. Boy, you're asking to get memed on. You're asking to get trolled. It's just like, what in the toxic positivity is going on in the heads of the people coming up with this shit? And saying, oh my God, yeah, that's so good. Yeah, they really need this. It's just like, or maybe that's not even happening at all. And then there's just some higher entity insinuating or just assuming that this needs to happen. Like, we need to talk to young men. And how you want to do that? I don't know. PowerPoint slide. But that's boring. So do it as a video game. Make it trendy.
Pathways is an educational visual novel and learning experience created by the UK media company Shoutout UK, with funding from UK government's Prevent program run by the Home Office. The game is meant to teach the youth about dangers of radicalization and extremism in both real life and online. This is done by putting the players in a role of a character named Charlie, who must navigate 6 different scenarios relating to extremism. In the second scenario, the player is introduced to the character Amelia, a staunch anti-immigration protester depicted as a goth girl with purple hair, a pink dress, and a choker.
And the internet instantly fell in love with her. It's like they made her have short purple hair thinking that that would prevent this from happening. But the UK failed to consider the fact that conservatives love art hoes. They act like they don't, they'll deny it, they'll pretend they just want a blonde traditional housewife, but deep down every conservative wants a woman who looks like this, who says the N-word. Government-funded video games. Incredible. At least our government doesn't do weird shit like that. No, our government is very normal.
I mean, it wasn't our government, but weren't we about to have like some border hopping game? And that completely got shut down by like Asmongold or something like that. If you don't know, go check it out. I forgot what it's called. I don't care. Boy.
Believe it or not, Mar-a-Lago Furry Party was on my 2026 bingo card. I miss when this weird shit was just done underground. I miss when these parties were secret. Speaking of, the Epstein files were released.
Oh, man.
Wow. Incredible. The things they are showing us are eerie enough. I couldn't imagine the things that they're redacting. It is absolutely disgusting that these powerful people are still being protected. We as a country should be extremely concerned about
I think there's an interesting, it's like it runs through, I'm sure a lot of people probably figured this out by now, but it seems like it really runs through a vetting process of the elites in a way where it's like, where is the acceptable level of damage? Okay, let's let that come out. And it's a little tiring. I think we've been talking about the Epstein list for so long now that a lot of people just don't give a shit anymore. And it's just like, okay, well, And then there's obviously staunch advocates about it. You know, you're always going to have one side or the other. Let me know what you think.
International child trafficking ring. This is not just something we all move from, and we kidnapped the president of Venezuela.
Breaking just now, Maduro, the president says, has been captured.
Maduro has been captured and flown out of the country.
In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night.
First pictures of Nicolas Maduro on the Iwo Jima that he was being transferred on.
Trump voters voted to fix the economy and to afford homes again. They didn't vote to kidnap communists in the middle of the night. Actually, they probably did vote for that. Never mind.
The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago.
Holy shit. This is the most transparent administration in history. They weren't lying. I don't know if it's the Stockholm Syndrome or what.
I mean, the little disagreements there is if we didn't do it, China was going to do it or Russia was going to do it. Someone was going to do it. It's a little bit of an inconsequence. The people were happy. The people were happy when that happened. I mean, they tried to shut that down, and then you had a bunch of left-leaning people really raise hell over it, but the people in Venezuela were. I saw quite a bit, and it wasn't just biased news.
But it's almost refreshing to hear a leader say, yeah, this is about oil. Like, thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you for just saying it's about oil. Thank you for not pretending it's about saving democracy and just doing imperialism the old-fashioned way. We have such terrible Middle Eastern war fatigue that it was shocking to not hear about how Venezuela is just jealous of our freedoms or some shit. Like, no, it's just for ExxonMobil. Like, okay, carry on.
The US used a powerful mystery weapon that brought Venezuelan soldiers to their knees, bleeding through their nose, and vomiting blood during the daring raid to capture dictator Nicolas Maduro.
Yeah, if you're wondering why we don't have healthcare, this is why. We have invisible laser beams that can make people bleed out their f***ing eyes. Apparently, directed energy weapons are real.
Imagine if protesters had that. I didn't really know a whole lot about this, though. I thought it was a meme. I wasn't sure.
Boy beam is real. Deep state files are real. Havana syndrome is real. Hell, it's almost like being a conspiracy theorist is just another word for being correct too early. What's next? COVID was fake?
There have been significant developments in the last 5 to 7 years on.
And I'm curious as to how people are either going to feel about that, or are they just, or is the idea of what COVID was so ingrained into their threat perception that they can't let go of the fact that it was falsely construed and a little bit facilitated? Because what we're also seeing lately is the 2020 election is actually starting to look more and more like a stolen election. And that's because they're actually launching genuine and authentic investigations into it. A lot of people will consider that to be a conspiracy. A lot of people consider that to be crazy, insane if you said so. You were canceled if you disagreed. Same thing with COVID. So it's very interesting that under a different administration, we're actually popping open the lid on these phenomenon, if you will. And some interesting things were coming out. Now, I don't know the precise details of either, but
social, environment, and technology fronts that could help realize My Carbon initiatives for shaping the future towards smart and sustainable cities. COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility. A huge number of unimaginable restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world. There were numerous examples globally of maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, mass vaccinations, and acceptance of contact tracing applications for public health, which demonstrated the core of individual social responsibility.
Oh, sorry, I just owe many people many apologies. Anyway, Venezuela has no president. Who is going to run Venezuela?
Who's number two?
So we are going to run the country.
A few moments later.
Hola, amigos. Yo soy su nuevo presidente, el señor Donaldo J. Trumpo.
Can we maybe just fix our...
I don't know. I thought it would have been more funny if they had the J.D. Vance with his flowing locks, like the fat memey one. And just have him out there just speaking Spanish. I'm just representing, man.
Country first. Can we fix our broken infrastructure?
But I'm pretty sure they passed it to the number two, right? Which is questionable. It's like, here was this whole cabinet that seemed crooked as well. And that's what we're passing it to. Maybe we have some kind of authority over that cabinet. I don't know how it really works out, but it just doesn't seem, it's all just a hot mess, to be honest.
Our education system. Can we do a little nation building in this nation? Can a bitch get a little regime change in our own country, please? And with modern American nation building comes refugees. So who is gonna take in these Venezuelan refugees? Are we? Only the hot ones, apparently.
United States increasingly issuing work visas to OnlyFans models based on level of audience reach, according to the Financial Times.
Imagine being an immigrant from some poor country, working your ass off to get a work visa in the United States, when all you had to do was bend over and show holes. Big booty Latinas to the front, tortas to the back. Anyway, nana boo-boo, my president can kidnap your president. We're invincible. We can regime change anyone we want. Who's next?
Global power.
Canada, Greenland, really Cuba? Cuba's literacy rates are higher than ours. Maybe they should come liberate our dumbasses. Kids are swiping.
It's a curious thing, isn't it? How our education system has fallen so hard, even though we have so many people swearing up and down that they're more educated than other people in the country. It's very interesting. And then the Greenland thing. What's up with that? I think I got to follow up on that. If you know anything, hit me in the comments. I'm curious. Sometimes it's cool to do my own research. Sometimes it's cool just having conversations about it.
Books. But it. Wow. The Don Roe Doctrine, baby. Let's go. America is back. Dick Cheney is looking up at us smiling.
You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship. Their days are numbered.
Trump, listen to me. Wait, Trump doesn't watch this shit. Vance, listen to me. Get people like Lindsey Graham far away from anyone in power right now. This little Venezuela stunt was cute, but we are not touching any other country. We're not touching the Middle East, especially. No more Middle East. We all have Middle East fatigue. We are done. This whole thing really put into perspective just how weird it was that we were there for 20 years. You mean we could have just been in and out in a few hours? I guess those poppy fields couldn't maintain themselves though. Anyway.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. But did you forget to check in with Lilith, the barista from Bushwick, and see how she feels about this?
Nah, you gotta check in.
The United States will be running Venezuela! Woo! A colony! Woo! Imperialism! All for what? So a fucking multinational corporation
Look at them rings.
can get profit!
You know what's funny is I basically said the exact...
That pitch of voice, that was tough to hear. Yeah. Is that judgmental? Yeah, probably. But damn, that was tough to hear.
same thing this person said, but I said it less loudly. She has a nose ring and I don't, so I'm right and she's wrong. End of story. I guess this is just what happens when you dismantle the soft power of things like USAID. We're no longer doing secret regime change operations behind the scenes. Now we're just straight up kidnapping other world leaders in the dead of night and just saying it's about oil, which honestly kind of makes me believe it's not about oil. They're never that blatant, right? I mean, what could it be? Like, Israel isn't behind
Well, it has
this
something to
one,
do with
right?
drug trafficking.
The implications here are really great for the Venezuelan people.
Oh, God damn it. You know, people say I have Israel derangement syndrome, but I'm sorry, I can't help it when they get on TV and say shit like this.
No, it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly.
Am I the only person that thinks he sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger? I mean, he's saying some fucked up shit, like restricting the First Amendment. That's stupid as hell. That's just what popped into my head.
Before it's too late.
What do you mean?
You just close your eyes.
That we need to control the platforms.
Like, he would never say that. There's no way.
All the social platforms, we need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking. The government should.
I think we saw this enough in UK. How's that going? Nah. We're good, man. For sure.
Social media.
Yeah, should do that.
Try explaining that to someone.
Restriction in order for protection is just the pretense for more restriction in the future. It's a gateway. You let anything in. You let anything pass that initial line of defense, you give up that stance forever. And I feel like that's why you can't. That's why that's the First Amendment and that's the Second Amendment. Whether you want to disagree with another group of people as much as you want. You see some radical ass people that say the most heinous shit, calling federal agents the Gestapo, whatever the hell, right? Whatever. That's what you think. Okay, that's what you think. But you never give any break in that ability to do so. And it's the same thing with, well, just many of our amendments, honestly. It was the same case with the Second Amendment. Even though it was at the cost of someone like Charlie Kirk, as an example, he still believed in it. And I think that should mean something, you know? And it's the same basis here.
Without showing them the video. Go ahead. Yeah, there's a Jewish billionaire named Shlomo who wants to control the internet. Like, okay.
Was his name really Shlomo?
No more Instagram reels for you. Anyway, you should have just let us play video games. Now we're perp walking the president of Venezuela down the streets of New York City. But hey, leftists, just think of it this way. By bombing and kidnapping, instead of just doing the usual covert psyops, we saved maybe, what? $1 billion? $1 billion that could go to other, more important things, like defense contractors' stock buybacks and empty Somalian daycares, apparently.
Boy. This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley, back
He's not even a MAGA YouTuber, man. He's just a YouTuber.
at a daycare.
Well, he's not even a YouTuber either. He's a damn journalist. But I guess because he doesn't have some big mainstream news network behind him, it's not legitimate. So don't trust it. Anyone that does their own journalism or their own research, doesn't have our stamp of approval. I think this is kind of why mainstream media is just falling the fuck off. It's because they have these heavily biased articles, and then they attack anyone that does independent anything unless it's in alignment with what they want. And obviously Minnesota was a great example of that because he found a lot of legitimate things. And the fact that this whole thing is just trying to be covered up, you have Tim Walz and all that bullshit. Oh man, if you're ingrained into this already, I feel like seeing any of this doesn't matter anyways.
Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video. Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers.
It's not like Nick Shirley was the first person to expose this either, but now it exploded. And the fallout has been bizarre, to say the least. The funniest part had to be when the infamous Luring Center claimed to have been broken into the night this all went viral.
Unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book. This is devastating news.
Oh no, somebody broke into the daycare and stole all the paperwork we needed to prove we are a legit operation.
I feel sympathy for the people that bought that story. Like, I really do. I really do. Because if that was the cover up for any other situation that you disagree with, you know damn well you be over there with a pitchfork and whatever, you know, trying to raise hell. So it's just, we are legitimate. What do we need to be legitimate? Okay, they stole all of that.
Operation. Please ignore my suspicious exact paperwork we need to prove we are a legit operation shaped belly. Listen, no hate to the Somalians, but when my family came here 100 years ago, we did organized crime the right way. We would have had tin walls and cement shoes at the bottom of Lake Superior. This is just sad. This is cartoonishly pathetic.
Well, there's also a large association, and obviously that's why she says no hate to the Somalian people, but there's a large association with fraud and Somalian people. Why is that happening? Why is that occurring? It's hard to say. They don't all do it naturally.
Pathetic. Listen, nobody is going to want to support government programs if they think it's all going to like this.
Yeah, true. I mean, it also goes against a lot of the socialist ideas of where federal funding should go to, especially if it ends up being this. Like, you're really shooting yourself in the foot, or at least you really thought you were untouchable. Because this does not help democratic anything. But maybe perhaps this is why a lot of the corrupt Democratic politicians are actually rooting for this in the first place, because they've been able to really monetize on these social systems for fraud. And you know what? It is strange. It is strange that that's what's being advocated for, even though that's been advocated as part of democratic policies forever, you know, stronger social systems. It just sucks that this is what we're seeing.
Want people to support a welfare state, you have to make sure that welfare is actually going to real things that help real people. Listen, it's already hard enough to convince a right-wing audience that there's more to leftism than Reddit and butt sex. Now I have to convince them the wealth redistribution I advocate for isn't all going to Somalian welfare pirates.
Yeah.
Thanks. That money should be spent on more important things like New Gaza. That's right, the World Economic Forum and Jared Kushner are proud to present New Gaza. Yes, the demolition project is finally complete, folks. Time to build a Sweet Green and a f***ing Deloitte branch on top of the bodies of thousands of dead children. Hell is not hot enough, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's just a lie for a project, too. I think it's going to secure massive investment. They're never going to get through with it, and then people are just going to walk away with the money in their own pocket. I don't think this is a good idea.
Hell is not hot enough. Anyway, because of all this fraud stuff, Tim Walz is stepping down, which is sad to see because he has
stepping down. Motherfucker, you got forced down. Let's get out of here.
To be one of my favorite characters in modern America lore. The first white male DEI hire, the last white dude for Kamala Harris.
I don't know. I think Biden was the DEI hire for Obama, wasn't he? I think that's kind of how that worked. I feel like Kamala Harris wasn't going to win anyways, to be honest. There's a lot of indications for that. But I would say there was a lot more racial pushback back in like 2008, for sure. If anyone remembers that.
A dying breed.
It wasn't really that crazy as much as people want to perceive it, but there were some problems.
But hey, maybe this marks an official end to the Kamala Harris era, and we can move on and focus on rebuilding the Democratic Party to something more.
Harris stepping toward another White House run.
No. We are not doing this. No. I swear to God, the Democratic Party is like an old friend addicted to heroin or something. You want to help them, you do everything you can to help them, but they don't listen. They keep doing stupid things and hurting themselves. But
I wonder if they're really going to pay out the same route too. They're all just going to say it's like it's the woman thing, it's the black thing, even though she's not even whatever. I honestly just don't think they have any real candidates. Everyone's kind of just being exposed in some way. I feel like it's just, let me know.
You just can't give up on them. You can't. You want to see them get better. You know deep down they could be how they used to be, but it's hopeless. And all your other friends keep saying to you, just forget them. Just forget them. It's not worth it. Come hang out with us instead. But those friends are on crack. Those friends are on crack cocaine. But this Minneapolis fraud thing is looking pretty bad for Tim Walz and the Democrats. People aren't just gonna forget about this, and an ICE officer just shot a woman in the face in Minneapolis.
You can hear the agents tell the woman to get out of the car and approach the SUV. The woman then drives forward. That's when the shots are fired, the car crashing.
As I was writing this video, an innocent woman was picking her kids up from school when an ICE officer jumped in front of her car and randomly shot her in the face. Or an angry protester was blocking the road and tried to run over an ICE officer with her car, so he shot in self-defense. Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Depends on how you voted, apparently.
Yes.
The way I
Apparently.
see it, this woman was not trying to hit him. She was not trying to run him over. I think she was trying to drive away. And in an alternate universe, he dodges the car and she drives away. And it's easy to be like, oh, in hindsight, he should have done this, he should have done that. That's like so much of the discourse right now I'm seeing is just in hindsight this, in hindsight that. And it's easy for us to say in hindsight, you know, after the fact. It's easy to say he could have, he should have, but all he saw was a car revving up and going towards him. This has been one of the most insane political Rorschach tests I've ever seen in my life. It really all comes down to how you view ICE and police officers in general. Many, not all, leftists view ICE as completely illegitimate. Same with the police, they want to abolish both. So you're not going to get a real unbiased conversation with those people. Because why the f should a protester respect ICE in the first place? And many, not all, conservatives tend to be complete and utter f***ing bootlickers. Completely unable to criticize anything the police do. ICE can do no wrong. Don't tread on me becomes tread harder, daddy, real fast. This is extremely aggravating discourse, and you should be questioning anyone who takes a really firm, hard stance either way and like can't fathom how the other side is seeing what they are seeing. The first episode of my old Hellworld series was actually all about police brutality. It was all about police brutality towards innocent protesters. I was a little more ACAB-y back then. I was a little more libbed the f*** out back then. But hey, to be fair to me back then, that is what happens when you live in the sheltered suburbs of Long Island in your parents' basement versus having a kid and living in the city for 4 years. The police are a taxpayer-funded HR department for structural violence. They exist solely to protect the rights of private property. Yeah, we need more police. Police are good. Police are great. Yep. Give the police more guns. More guns. Give them more guns. Tanks. Tanks, even. My overall opinion is still basically the same. I'm very critical of the police. I am very pro First Amendment. Protesting is a fundamental American right, and we can't just go around labeling protesters domestic terrorists. That is an insane, slippery slope. And if you support that, I promise you it will come back to bite you in the ass. So good luck in 2028 when President Newsom knocks you up. Whoa!
Freudian slip.
You up.
You better relax.
What's going on here?
Is that like a segue?
When President Newsom locks you up for protesting against mandatory forced feminization or whatever the f it is Democrats do. What do they do?
All right, so let's talk about it real quick because there was a lot of discourse around the good and then the ICE agent. Listen, who should I speak on first? Let's start with the ICE agent. Now I'm pretty sure, and this is with all tactical stops, procedures, policies. You don't go in front of the vehicle. You never go in front of the vehicle. You go at a 45 degree off to the left and right, and you're basically orienting your posture to the driver. And then if someone's on the other side, it's obviously to the passenger or if there is passengers. And then you have the tire wheel in your peripheral view as you keep eyes and give commands to the driver. Being in front of the vehicle induces a certain response, as it always has, to one, put your life in danger because vehicles can be used to that extent. They are essentially weapons when people have erratic or anxious responses while driving. You're going to have a little bit of an issue in response to people because if you're in front of the vehicle and a car is now moving, what do you expect? It's going to go towards you. In addition to that, the one thing that I found out was that they prevented medical aid to this person after they shot her, or at least delayed the ability for it to happen. Those are two orientations of responsibility, right? Additionally, there's a bit of a streamlined process happening with ICE agents right now because they so desperately need more federal agents, where someone would argue that they're not getting as much training as they should. That's the perspective on that side. Argue what you will. That's fine. I know what I'm talking about. Let's look on the side of the woman that was driving. Her and her wife, despite her wife telling her drive and giving her own commands, they're ICE agitators. And they're known to be ICE agitators. They've historically done so. They're literally there to impede the duty of federal agents. It's not allowed. They were told to move. They refused. Once they refused to move, they were being apprehended for refusing to move on the basis that they were impeding federal agents. Then because they were going to be apprehended, or she now also refused to be apprehended. The orientation of her tire makes no consequence. It did look like she was trying to get out of there. But at the same time, you weren't there accidentally. You weren't there to drop off kids. You were there with that in mind. You were there not to protest, but to impede federal enforcement or federal agents. That's not really protesting, right? That's not the peaceful protest. That's not examples of it. Let's not even call it that. Because if I go into a police department and I stand in the way of the door and I block as many officers as I can whenever they get called for emergency, I'm not protesting. I'm impeding. I'm probably going to get my ass kicked, right? And it's on the same basis when you do that with vehicles on known routes, because you have certain levels of intelligence, because these organizations are organized, these agitators are organized, and they are doing this to this extent. And she's the one that decided to drive off and refuse what she was being told to her. If I missed anything, let me know. But that's my consensus. I see blame damn near everywhere. Was it murder? No. Did the ICE agent put himself in a bad situation? Yeah. Was that the cause of him believing his life was in danger? Possibly. However, if we go into the order of events, here's how it works. Whenever you break down a case, the order of events, you don't just jump to the part that where you see or think that the most of compassion applies to. You go chronologically. Why was she there? Did she have to be there? No. Did she have to remain parked after being told to move? No. Did she have to refuse being apprehended? No. Did the ICE agent have to walk in front of the vehicle, regardless of him understanding that, okay, she's about to get apprehended, so it's safe to walk in front of the vehicle? No, it's never safe until the person is either the vehicle is turned off, or the keys are passed, or because the person is being apprehended and currently exiting the vehicle. That is the only time you move from your position of being in front of the vehicle. And obviously, did she have to drive in the orientation and away from this scene, possibly causing some secondary tertiary effects? No. Did they have to prevent any first aid or emergency aid to the site? No. And if you even want to go beyond that, and depending on the experience of this agent, because maybe this isn't one of the streamlined agents, so to speak, but then you can go even a step further of, does this organization need to agitate ICE and impede law enforcement or federal agents? No. Does the ICE organization need to streamline its training in order to expedite the ability to get federal agents on the ground? No. Right? Like you have so much in this scope. So let that be my piece. You wanna talk about it in the comments? Go for it.
Nothing. They do nothing. I don't fucking know. I left this joke blank. Something pronouns. Like, God forbid the state ever turns me into Swiss cheese and the president's like, she was a radical leftist lunatic. The people called her Kami Mommy. Can you believe that, folks?
That's pretty good.
Sad.
Not bad.
And some people were like straight up mocking this woman, celebrating it. And then when people were like, what the fuck? They were like, well, you got Charlie Kirk, so now we got one of your guys.
It's dumb as fuck.
Is that what we're doing now? We're just gonna keep killing each other back and forth? Is that what this is now? Like some kind of civil war? Who gets me in the national divorce? Hell yeah, 2 Christmases. Like, you agreed with me when I was upset about the reactions people had about Charlie.
I saw variations trying to equate them to the same thing. You had someone that was impeding federal agents, and then you have someone trying to have dialogue with adults, the future voters at universities. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you could go down the side of, well, he was spewing hatred. Can't prove it. Whatever the case is of your perspective, because that's the side of the aisle that you sit on. Sure. At the end of the day, he was a person that disagreed with you. He wasn't a person that was impeding law enforcement or federal agents, regardless of how both things ended up.
Charlie Kirk, and then you're over here like, boo-hoo, she was a stupid libtard. Honestly,
Yeah.
some of you just don't have...
Loss of life is loss of life. I don't think I saw a whole lot of people happy that this mother, I believe, of 3 was killed. I don't think anyone was happy about that. There were some people that said, you really should have complied. You should have complied. You should have complied. And then the most extreme thing that I saw was, well, fuck around, find out. And that's about the closest sentiment that I see paralleled to the response of Charlie Kirk's situation. And the only difference is that you had people like jumping up and down and celebrating, right? There was no celebration here because some people, especially center or whatever, did see fault on both sides. And they said, that shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have, right? It was preventative in multiple stages, as I explained. And hopefully you agree. Maybe you don't. We could talk about it. Maybe you have some kind of bias that doesn't allow you to see it entirely. And it's very likely.
Morals. You have like temporary weapons you can use to bludgeon people you don't like when you have the chance. You and all the people who mock Charlie Kirk are all going in the pit, and you can come out when you learn how to be normal. In my opinion, a lot of focus on illegal immigration should go to the employers employing illegal immigrants for cheaper scab labor. I feel like that's really important,
I think that's messed
and
up
like
too.
we're not doing that. It's kind of interesting that the government is focused so hard on immigration right now, but like apparently hasn't made any like real actual legislative change to the laws of immigration. Dragging Jose out of Home Depot might work for now.
Yeah, I agree.
But they have to be working on something more.
Why does the immigration process really take as long as it does? Like, why are we such on backfire? Maybe anyone that's involved in the system can explain to me, educate me. It just seems like it's a massive reform because you have a lot of people that are trying to do it the right way. There's tons more trying to do it the wrong way, don't get me wrong. But it just seems like it's such a slow process. Some people, I think, have been on like the list or something like that for 4 or 5 years. Damn, man. Some for 10? I don't know. I think the fact that people that do it wrong ruin it for everybody else, and that's not the conversation that people want to have. Perhaps the reason why those lists are getting longer is because people are ruining it for everyone else. And I think that might be something worth looking into.
More substantial, right? Well, Palantir, the company named after the evil crystal ball in Lord of the Rings, right, is apparently working on a new tool for ICE. And what does it do? Oh, nothing really. Just creates a map of deportation targets, pulls up a dossier on them, and assigns them a confidence score. Because if there's one thing we can trust, it's a private Silicon Valley tech company's algorithm deciding who gets disappeared. Every single surveillance tool starts by simply
confidence score? Is that like who's more likely to what? Like who's more likely to commit a crime soon? Like that? Like
protecting us. It's only gonna affect the baddies. But who are the baddies? Today it's illegal immigrants. Tomorrow it's furries. Next week it's people who are into feet. And before you know it, it's fans of—
It really ain't that deep. It really ain't that deep. You're trying to really expand the idea of illegal immigrant, even though there are some concerns, for sure. But this is a situation and issue that is faced by multiple countries. And because you haven't seen it really get out of hand in the countries that believe in immigration, it's just like a fear tactic. It's like a neurotic response. And it's not something to really entertain. It's just, yes, it is as simple as illegal immigration. Now, what's the agenda? What's the underlying motives? Why does one side care about this more than the other, right? Like, that's obviously the subjective matter. But to think that this is, now they're going to go get Asian people or black people after this, shut the fuck up. Stop it.
VTubers. You know, on second thought, I don't buy into the propaganda that simply enforcing border security, something every developed country has, is akin to Nazi Germany. Sorry, I don't. Build a wall? Hitler. Deport illegal immigrants? Hitler. Just kick out the criminal ones at least? Hitler.
Well, I think the reason why they're doing that also is because Hitler was a representation of where right Republican conservative values can go. But you know what's funny is that they don't ever stress the evil of Stalin's Russia or Mao's China. They leave that out of the conversation, even though what Hitler did was only a fraction of what they did. But let's go ahead and paint Hitler as the political evil that can exist. And let's not look at Stalin or Mao's China as the political evil that can exist on the other side, even though they did whatever Hitler did 10 times to the effect. And it's just such a stupid argument. It really, really is, when that's what institutions are kind of vying for. And they leave that part of the argument out, like Hitler's some big insult, when honestly Stalin is a bigger insult to make of any communist believer or socialist believer for that matter. And that's kind of where I see the problem here. I think it has a lot to do with resemblances of white guilt to some extent, that because of how it was fueled in Germany, maybe, I don't know. That's something I feel like I need to dive into before I give my actual response, because it's obvious why we care about what Hitler did more than Stalin, because Stalin obviously represents where democracy can essentially go wrong, whereas Hitler is the opposite. And I think that's why institutions don't really want to talk about that. That's what I think, honestly.
There's no other option besides open borders that is acceptable to some people, and I don't get that. What I do get, however, is that people don't want to live under a Palantir police state, where people can't even film ICE agents without getting put on some kind of f***ing list. I feel like there has to be some kind of normal, sane option besides total free-for-all, globo-homo versus Peter Thiel, nightmare tech bro dystopia. Like, how is it not possible to just, like, be normal? But hey, it's cool to
I mean, it's a response, isn't it? I think it's worth asking if it's a response, because if it's a response, then clearly there's a certain level of extreme activism that is currently happening that's pushing this idea that it should happen at all. And then the thing that is making it happen at all, like the super paranoid, observable tactics that the government can apply, it's like they're using the excuse that they see in the level of activism that's currently happening. And it's just like one thing is fueling the other. And it's like, well, if we stopped being so crazy, they would have less of a reason, and then they'd be given less of a reason to do so. I don't know. I'm curious as to the response. That's what I'm curious about. I think there has to be, there's a part of this here where I think there are organizations out there that are impeding at a level that we don't understand. And I think some of what the government is now doing is in response to it, to kind of get ahead. I might be wrong, and that's something that I would also need to look into. But I think there's a certain level of response network that's currently happening in spite of ICE, as an example, that they are now contending with at a level that they've never had to contend with before. And obviously technology plays a huge part in that, because now you have people literally following ICE agents everywhere they go. That wasn't the case when Obama was doing the same thing throughout 2008 to 2016. A lot of people want to say, well, he didn't do the same thing. He didn't do it the same way. He did a lot of it the same way. A lot of the same systems are involved. A lot of what you're seeing are a lot of the same policies. It's just that the only added thing that he did, which is where a lot of his deportation numbers came from, is that he worked with prisons. And now the prisons of today are not working with Trump in the same way that the prisons were working with Obama back then. And so that's kind of what you're seeing too. So there's a lot more friction here just because I think Orange Man bad. Really. I think that's the basis. It's because Trump is doing it. But it was okay if these other politicians that we agree with do it. But if he does it, then it's a no-no. That foundational bias that exists in people, that's really make them up in arms about this.
DHS created a portal where you can see all the people they have been deporting. One guy was deported back to Yugoslavia.
Oh, shit.
Yugoslavia doesn't
Aggravated
exist anymore.
assault, though. Where'd he go?
We sent that motherfucker back in
He went
time.
to the shadow realm.
Listen, what happened to Renee Good was a tragedy. It was terrible,
Yeah.
but hopefully nothing like this ever happens again. And another person was shot by ICE in Minneapolis.
According to a preliminary Department of Homeland Security report,
Pretty.
2 Border Patrol agents discharged their weapons, seen here in graphic cell phone video captured by eyewitnesses. 10 shots fired off in total in just seconds. Pretty pronounced dead on the scene.
To be absolutely clear, stuff is still coming out about this as I am filming.
Body cams
Literally,
are needed.
as
Everything
I
is
am
needed.
filming,
I'm curious.
this happened. You know, there's no body cam footage yet, so I could be totally wrong. Totally possible, totally possible. However, first impressions of watching the video at multiple angles, multiple times, yeah, I think they just fucking murdered that guy. It looks like they took his gun and then shot him. Like 10 officers come over to him, wrestle him to the ground, the agent disarms him, take his gun, they yell gun, 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 and then they shoot him several times in the back.
So I'll kind of give my thoughts here too. And it has a lot to do with the training issue that I said. Not like that gives any credence or grace. I get it. However, I think this one was a mistake. Like damn near through and through. There was a miscommunication there. Let's break it into the 2 parts. Won't be nowhere near as long. But this person, Pretty, I believe is how you say his last name. If I'm wrong, correct me. He's a known agitator too. He's been in confrontation, physical altercation with ICE before, to the point where he was damaging federal property. What the fuck are you doing? Kicking out lights on vehicles and whatnot. Like, you're just asking for trouble there, right? And so that's part of it. The other side of it was that he had multiple magazines for the protests that he was attending. Multiple magazines everywhere you go, huh? The idea of the firearm, that doesn't bother me, because Second Amendment, it is what it is. The amount of munitions that you have on you, though, it almost displays a level of intent, but maybe it's because where he saw, how he saw ICE was that he did see them as a threat, and he wanted to be prepared for those kind of altercations. Maybe because of the perception or because of the narrative that he believed, that was the case. Now, if we look at the ICE agents, if we find out more, we can talk about it later. Hit me in the comments as stuff comes out. Maybe come back to this video and tell me. I don't care. We'll talk about it. But in terms of the ICE agents, what I saw was a complete and utter miscommunication. I saw that they disarmed him. I saw an ND, negligent discharge, by the person that disarmed him while they're calling for gun, or whatever whatever the warning was. And because there was an ND, I think that the people involved wasn't sure where that came from, and they broke off and shot him instead, not realizing that the ND came from the person that disarmed his own firearm, Preddy's firearm. Because I think there's a video where you see it ND into the ground when it's already taken from him. Now, the body cam footage is going to help figure out, was he reaching for other people's firearms? But whenever they called the gun, it wasn't his because they disarmed him. Well, that's why they disarmed him. But then the ND, I think, spooked people that weren't communicating amongst each other. And I think, I mean, it's rookie shit. It's really rookie shit, because to the level of training that even I have, you communicate fucking everything. It's pretty insane to the level of communication you need whenever firearms are involved, or whenever you're clearing rooms, clearing people, and marking them as you go, certain things, like whatever you're checking for. And I think one of the things you always have to keep in mind is like gun secured. So if I don't know, it's just tough. I think it's a bad situation. I think it's another instance where I don't think it's like the Renee Good situation. I think it's a little different, and there are some definite problems there. I'm looking forward to the body cam footage. I really want to know personally, because that's kind of my opinion so far. But either or, whatever you believe, hit me in the comments. We'll talk about it for sure. Let me know your thoughts, definitely, because these obviously are two instances that have just happened, honestly. And they're still worth talking about to see kind of what's happening out there, especially with the narratives that do exist, what have you.
More information can come out, but the compulsive bootlicking I have been seeing has been fucking insane.
Why does a nurse feel compelled to go confront ICE armed with a 9mm handgun?
Only one person could have prevented this from happening, and it's Alex Preddy.
Yeah, who goes to a protest and brings a gun? Look, if the government can take a fire...
Those situations aren't the same. They're not the same. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in one instance, you had riots, and then you had a person with a firearm who was against the riots. And in this case, you have someone that is with or in inclusion with the protests against the enforcement or authority. Details matter, man. Don't do that.
Firearm from you and then kill you because you had a firearm, then nobody actually has a right to own a firearm.
No, you don't get shot for having a firearm. You get shot for having an aggressive posture with a firearm. And obviously these are two different things. Now, did he have the firearm in his hand when this was going down, right? There's so many little things that come into this. Don't oversimplify it. Don't do that thing. I feel like so many people do this thing where it's just, now we can apply this, we can insinuate all this from this now, and this is how far the rabbit hole goes. It's like, what, you're just doing this is this just entertainment now? Like, is that what's going on? Is that we're trying to like be entertaining about this to get some brains going? I don't know. It's a bit out of touch. It ain't that crazy. However, there is an element of concern here. There was a fuck up, and I think that there's a level of responsibility. There's some observations that need to be shared. Right? I think that needs to happen for sure. Time will tell. Time will tell.
If that is how it works, then there's actually no such thing as the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not exist. I feel like some people genuinely just forget that.
And then whatever narrative that each side wants to spew, it's like, who gives a shit? It's 2026. If you don't understand framing in legacy media, you got to brush up on it. Read through the bullshit, get the facts, whatever they want to represent, because one is going to lean more towards one side than the other. That way you see full perspective, form your opinion.
that police are just people. ICE officers are just people. They're literally just people who work for the government like anyone else. They're DMV employees with guns. They can be stupid. They can be bad. They can make mistakes. Like, I don't know what it is about some people. Like, once someone has a badge, it's like that person is just a perfect angel and cannot be criticized at all.
Well, and on the other side too, if they have a badge, you know, then they're upheld with a certain level of trust because they're being compared to what that badge represents. But then you also have people on the other side that view that badge as some form of authority and oppression. So now they should hate you with all that they possibly can. So it's all over the place.
You're telling me all I have to do to get you fucking people to listen to me is to dress like this?
Nah, that's different.
All right, fair enough.
That's different.
Stop gooning.
Ooh.
None of this would have happened if ICE agents were being trained better instead of being rushed through the system with little to no training. And if Minnesota just worked alongside ICE to make sure they were doing this in a safe and more effective way instead of just egging on a fucking jihad against them. Also, if ICE's goal is to round up pedophiles and fraudsters, I hear there's a pretty big list of pedophiles and fraudsters that need to be rounded up. Unfortunately,
under the illegal immigrant condition, though, you know? But, oh boy, that Epstein list, right? We're going to go back to that, it seems like, continuously.
Unfortunately, we'll never fucking get to see it. I'm trying to make this video somewhat funny and entertaining, but I'm not gonna lie, this is really bleak. Is America okay? Can we please go one single day without living through a major historical event, please? And a bunch of new Epstein files just dropped. Great. We're going to war with Iran soon, aren't we? Where was I? This just says Mr. Beast tendies. What? Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is simulating a chicken's body and the cells are just multiplying.
Honestly can't tell the difference. What the heck?
I will not live in a pod. I will not eat the Antichrist lab-grown chicken tendies. Oh.
Would y'all eat lab-generated chicken nuggets? Technology is coming a long way, man. I wonder what the advertisement for that would be.
Completely forgot about this. Sorry, I am not on my Vyvanse today, folks.
Would you even put a chicken on the label? Like, would you just put like a clump of cells and just...
I forgot to take my normal pills. It wasn't long before the race hustlers took advantage of the terrible Renee Good situation in Minneapolis.
Say Her Name is a movement started by Black women, for Black women specifically, and it's not appropriate to use in regards to Renee Good.
She deserves a hashtag and everything. It should not be Say Her Name. Say Her Name is reserved for Black women.
This is not for any other race. Simple as that.
Say Her Name is specifically reserved for Black women.
Say Her Name is for Black women.
It feels kind of wrong being here in some way. I don't know why.
Why do you think, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why. That's called white guilt, honey. That's the white guilt you're feeling. It's amazing. You can literally be killed by the state for the cause. And these fucking people will still disgrace you for the curse of being born Caucasian. This is very woke 1.0. I thought it was dark woke time.
Nobody forgetting on that gun. She has achieved the highest honor a white person can achieve. Race traitor.
She has achieved the highest honor a white person can achieve. Race traitor.
Someone's gonna have to explain that one to me. For real. Is that the highest honor? So you So you really could save the world, huh? But no. Race traitor. Race traitor. What the fuck is that? Oh, is that just like a anti-racism thing? Is that okay? That's just some more bullshit. Okay.
And this type of psychotic rhetoric seems to be working because like 70% of the videos I see of people like trying to disrupt ICE has been white women. White women literally throwing themselves at armed officers like lemmings off a fucking cliff for street tacos. What the hell is going on with white women? Who will save the white race?
Ah yes, Hitler's strongest soldiers. A Mexican, a Dominican, a black guy, and a looksmaxer.
That looksmaxer is none other than Clavicular. Clavicular is a Gen Z influencer and live streamer who got his start within the niche red pill communities and has recently blown up to mainstream popularity, especially in right-wing circles. His main claim to fame is looksmaxing. Looksmaxing, for those of you who are employed, is...
Looksmaxing is a term for aggressively maximizing one's physical attractiveness through routines like skincare, facial exercises, mewing, fitness, and sometimes extreme cosmetic procedures. Originating in online incel forums but popularized on TikTok, focusing on enhancing features like jawline and bone structure.
I personally think it's interesting to see men adopting the insane beauty rituals that women have been doing for decades. But now that a man is doing it,
Yeah, it's a little feminine. Looks maxing is feminine as fuck. Yep.
it's seen as psychopathic or gay. A woman will literally spend thousands of dollars on hair, makeup, skincare, peptides, plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, red light therapy, moon water, and we just call her Stacey. But a man does it and we call him Patrick Bateman. A woman reshapes her entire face with makeup? Normal. A man reshapes his jawline with makeup? Gay. A woman wears a push-up bra to make her tits look bigger? Empowering. A man shoves socks in his
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of like homosexuality or anything like that. I think when men have an emphasis on their appearance, I think it's often because perhaps there's something else that they should be concerned with. I think it has something to do with your insecurities being skin deep. And I think the reason why your insecurities are skin deep is because you still haven't ventured beyond that to know what's really wrong with you. And so you've kind of splashed around in the shallows, so to speak, and you think you're drowning when you haven't actually swum out to the ocean yet. And I think that that's kind of what it reminds me of. And only children really splash around in the shallows. And I think that that analogy is pretty accurate. And if you want to talk to me about it, we can talk about it. That's fine.
shoes to make himself taller? A liar. A woman gets lip filler? Typical. A man smashes his face with a hammer to make his jaw swell up? Okay, yeah, that one's a little insane. One of the looks-maxing tips some young men are apparently doing is called bone smashing, where they take a hard object, usually a hammer, and smash the bones in their face to make their face temporarily swell up and allegedly give them that Chad jawline. Honestly,
my man,
don't knock it till you try it.
Where's
Here
your
we
father?
go. Perfect. So that concludes this episode of the Hellworld Report. If you liked it, please subscribe and consider donating to my Patreon, link down below. It helps the channel and I appreciate it so much. If you don't want to do that, you can also put a little tip down in the tip jar somewhere over here somewhere. I feel like a barista. Yeah, it's just gonna ask you something on the screen down there. If you have some stories you want me to cover in the next Hellworld Report, be sure to send them to me on Twitter at ShoeOnHead. I will give you a little shout out if I wind up using the story in the next episode. Okay, and I will see you guys with a new fun slop video. I keep promising a slop video and then terrible things keep happening. I'm sorry. Next video is a slop video. I promise. Okay, bye. Who's big government's good little boy? You are.
All right, so that was Shu's video. A lot of information, a lot of events, and it's about right for what I've been seeing lately. There was another instance. It was a black ICE agent that misidentified someone's pronouns, and then they went ahead and called them a house N-word. And it's just starting to go full circle. I mean, a lot of people knew. People on the left were actually more of the racist group simply because of the DEI and the way that they position themselves for white guilt, white privilege, white passing, all this race-oriented language. It's very predominant on the left. It's not as common on the right. We knew that, but I think there's groups of people now that are just kind of masking off, and they are being perceived as the less tolerant. Now they're just letting go of that idea. Something like that. Look, we talked a lot about this stuff in this video. We talked a lot throughout the video. So there's one thing that I'm going to end on, and it's framing. I mentioned it in the video once, but listen, there's going to be all kinds of information that comes out. As legacy media kind of falls off, as it has been, I don't need to show you a chart. That's every form of legacy media. It's going to be on independent journalism and different orientations of the news. You kind of see it on streaming platforms. I mean, you got Asmongold, you got Hassan, you got different interpretations, different coverages where people kind of give their take. Framing. It is 2026. There is no reason why headlines should be getting anybody wrapped up for any reason anymore. Understand that almost 95% of headlines, articles, and even the first paragraph are going to be oriented and framed in a certain light that pushes whatever agenda that thing is tied to. I don't care if they're independent. I don't care if it's just some dude on a couch. Listen, as much as people want to say they're objective, you take what you hear, what you see, what you read with a grain of salt, and you do your own shit. Like, it's going to have certain words in there to emphasize certain insinuations and assumptions. You're going to have some headlines and articles that paint an image in your head so that way you make the assumption to the outcome before you even finish the shit. So that way they don't have to. And they've gotten real good at this, man. I'll tell you what, legacy media has gotten real good at framing. Stop it. Stop it. Please stop it. And if anyone needs help trying to understand how to pick apart framing, hit me in the comments below. I'll gladly talk to you about it, or possibly how to explain framing to other people, by all means. But essentially, orientation of language to insinuate or motivate a certain belief based off how you explain a situation and how long you emphasize one detail over another. You'll see it in a lot of common political commentators, people like Destiny, people like Nick Fuentes. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on the things that they either have a personal interest in or whatever the agenda may be at the time. That's not to fault either of them. It's just that we have our biases, we have our interests, we have things that we care about, things that we don't care about. And what framing is in the legacy media lens is the professional way of influencing belief or opinion. But that's going to be it for me, man. Damn, that video was long as shit. I think it's just because we're explaining a whole lot or just sharing our thoughts quite a bit throughout it. Sorry for the long break. Working on a new video where I tackle one of the most slept on contentious narratives that exist, or at least I don't see a lot of people talking about it. So you're going to have to stay tuned until I complete that and get it to you, but I'm working hard on it, I promise. So with that being said, thank you to everyone for watching the video. Please hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think, because I know that there's a lot going on. Let's talk about it. I really don't mind. I probably said that shit like 5 times, but I mean it. I don't care what side that you lean towards. That doesn't matter to me. To me, it's just a matter of observation, analysis, and just having a conversation. It really is that simple. So I just hope everyone's staying safe out there. Thanks again, and I'll go ahead and see you next time.